We are back to the warehouse for Ball and Play 2. Magic. Holy shit, there was a lot of wickets in this one. Let's talk ball. Welcome to the Blitzball Boys, the podcast about ball sports and warehouse, but lately about ball in play. I am your co-host, Brendan Ruppel, along with my fellow host, Peter Del Rey.
Hey, Brendan. We're here. We're watching the champions take the field against the newcomers. And
Peter, do you realize that your name rhymes with ball and play?
whoa.
Was that intentional?
Peter Del Ball and Play.
That's
I submitted
good.
the name. That's actually the full. When my dad came over from Italy, he had to shorten it. So he said, I guess Del Rey.
Del Rey, yeah.
We saw the champions play. I was kind of worried because, like we talked about it last time, how I predicted they would have a pretty easy time with Woogas.
Yeah.
Then I rewatched the pregame, and Chris Rose was like, "Yeah, these guys are young and hungry. Like they could definitely do something." I said, "If there's any game where like just being young and hungry is enough, it's ball and play."
Mm-hmm.
So I was very interested to see how this game would shake out, and it was a fucking doozy.
It was wacky and weird. I did finally get to watch the post game before.
Whoa,
this
I
one.
didn't.
And Melinda was like, "Yeah, this was a weird one because, like, we're going to talk about too. Super defensive in the first, the complete opposite game in the second inning, on both sides. Just a roller coaster, whirlwind, tornado, hurricane, other wind type things."
A raging blaze that's been burning?
Peter, what is this? The Torture Poets Department?
Oh my god!
Wow.
What is that? What's that?
Not sure. I just say things.
Did you really just come up with that?
No, that's the name of Taylor Swift's new album.
Well, it's been fun. Guess I'm getting canceled, guys. Brendan, start burning.
All right. It's the returning champs versus Woogas for their first ever ball and play game. Newcomer Sanjay starts the bowling, and he obviously needs to retake health class because he puts 3 balls in the magic hole. Hookline is stunned as they take the field, but BBD and his fielders practice their German, and they hold them to 9. With the momentum on their side, the Hookers remind everyone who they are and score a run for every listener that we have. That's 57. Woogas puts up a fight, but big bowler David slams the door shut, and our champs roll on to the next with a win, 72-59.
That was a really, really good one.
You like that shit?
I like the health class one the most, I think. that one was good. He puts 3 balls in.
A little bit of gold member in that one with the 3 balls.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, who would have predicted Sanjay coming out and just fucking dicing up
also,
the defending champs?
Do you think that Woogas had the foresight that he was going to be nasty? Because I think he is a bowler, right? And he's both. He's a bowler and hitter, I think.
I believe so.
So I guess they figured they might as well put him up there because it's just so different than ball and play. But I guess if you're a bowler, It still kind of translates a little bit, even with that squishy ball.
Right. And he's a lefty. And they were saying, where were they saying this? They'd never seen like a lefty curve in ball and play before.
And we were talking about it with BBD in our chat that we have for every game. And
that probably was what it was.
Yeah, and he was like, we just haven't faced lefty in this sport. And they famously struggle with lefties in any other sport, too. Like, a lot of people can't touch Dan Canobio in blitzball, even.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if we're going to see
thing.
that with Mac Fleury. Oh, no. Does he throw lefty or does he just bat lefty?
Which?
Kyle
MacDonald?
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. No, he throws righty. Yeah, he throws righty. Yeah, 'cause he's got the sidewinder.
He's got that gun that he brings with him.
He's got that big AK.
Let this go in the hole.
Hey, man.
Okay, you got it, Kyle. He hits the
strategy.
dot ball.
Yeah, I want to say this is going to be the only lefty we see throw bowling. Unless Moylan's a lefty and I don't realize it.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people who we haven't seen bowl.
But I guess to this point, since we haven't seen one, it seems pretty rare. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is Sanjay's the only lefty we're going to see.
Sanjay was a great lefty. The only thing that I have is that it almost feels like he was trying a little too hard for the magic hole, because he was obviously, when you're trying for the magic hole, you're leaving it over the middle. And in this tournament so far, very limited sample size, the average runs per completed over, and that's inclusive of no balls, runs off no balls, is 14.8. And, this doesn't really mean anything, but he is technically above average with giving up 15 runs in that first over while getting the 2 no balls. And, a 4, a 6, a 1, and a 4 outside of those 2 kind of is a high economy bowler. But if you listen to Jimmy in the past year talk about cricket, or even if you've listened to Nate talk about cricket, the guys who typically get high wickets typically give up a lot of runs.
Right. Yeah.
And then you see,
because they're going for bats. They want to touch bats, and sometimes if you're a good striker, even if they're trying to pitch you up and in, if you're good enough, sometimes you will hit a boundary off those pitches. But oftentimes you'll eventually induce those pop-ups. But I see what you're saying about about Sanjay in particular going for magic hole, because that means you're going middle. I guess why it worked so well in the beginning of the game was because his pitches are almost never in the strike zone until they're right in the middle. Right. Like, especially that big curveball is above your head for most of its trajectory to the strike zone. So that's why that one sort of works. But if you see it enough, you can line up your bat path to, all right, I know where this is going to end up. And they do. And as long as they know what's coming, which they find out what's coming later on by the very blatant tipping.
Yeah.
He's hittable.
I mean, did you hear... what was it? BBD wrote to us afterwards, and in the second inning, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but it's funny. In the second inning, Jay goes up to Jolly while Sanjay is bowling, and says, "Hey, you could very clearly tell what's coming." One comes much, much slower, and you could see his fingers pretty well. And then
Jolly just spread apart in the curve, and I think they're together like a fastball.
Right.
When it's quicker.
So Jolly is like, I don't think this is going to help me. Immediately helps him. He goes, oh, no, that helped me a lot. BBD told us in a conversation that we had with him on the Twister that Jay pretty much was like, I've known Sanjay for a long time, and he always gives away a tell on his pitches. This is what it is. And BBD was like, why didn't you start off by giving us this information?
Yeah, why'd you let us get shut down to 15 runs in the first before we figured it out?
But it doesn't matter, because BBD did arguably more impressive bowling on his end of the first, where he only gave up 8 runs in the first over and got 2 pop-ups induced to Jolly so that he could get 2 wickets right there. I believe Jolly also protected another boundary at giving BBD a dot ball. So Jolly really helping out BBD's economy.
Yeah.
And then in the second over, he gave up just 1 before getting a magic hole of his own. And both of these defensive sides ended before getting to the 3rd ball of the second over, which is kind of insane. We've never seen something this amazing, because then this turns into a 1-inning league game, effectively.
Yeah.
I understand Hookline's ahead.
But you can pretty much call this a wash right now because they're both such low scores.
6 runs, it's 1 swing.
Yeah.
1 swing is the difference at this point.
Yeah.
It is very funny how seriously Jay takes it. I know that we get told all the time, it's like, oh no, these pros, they really take it seriously, they want to win. Jay is the number one of that. He shows it more than any of these other pros. He treats ball and play like it's the World Cup. And I absolutely love what's going on. I love that.
Peter drank a ton before we started at 11 a.m. this morning.
I had 3 Coca-Colas.
No, they talk about it in the broadcast a little bit how he has been thinking about coming back here since he left. He couldn't wait to come back. Who cares about the ICC?
Who gives a fuck?
Let's just play in the warehouse. No, you love it. You love to see it.
I can't wait to watch the post game. I completely forgot about
It's
it, so I
good.
went
There's
on
there's
YouTube
another
this morning.
speaking too much about BBD this game, but he's got a very good interview moment with Kelsey just to watch out for.
Oh.
But yeah,
He
no, this is
proposes?
he flexes on her
No, proposes.
and then flexes and shirt pops off.
You want to marry me?
This is a weird game because the striking team that starts first in the first over, or the top half of the first inning, usually wants to put up a big number to put pressure on the other team. Doesn't happen at all. It's almost the reverse where the defense shows up and is like, all right, now you guys got to match that. Like, you guys got to be defensive against us. And it seems impossible for Hookline to match the defensive inning that Woogas had initially. So pressure on the bowler, BBD coming through and being like, you know what? You scored 15? We'll let you score 9. How about that?
That's a very good analysis, Brendan. But there's one team in this entire tournament who has had that pressure before.
It's this one.
And that was in the championship
Yeah.
against Pinstripe.
They talk about that in the post game too, because I think Chris Rose mentioned that. He's like, how'd you deal with this adversity of being shut down like that in the first and then blowing up in the second inning? He's like, well, this has happened to us before. We've been here. We've had a weird game like this before when we have gotten shut down and had to come through. Runs on the board is runs on the board.
Yep. Runs on the board is runs on the board. We have, an ultra defensive player in Drew who could also hit the ball pretty well. Jolly, don't look past him as a very good defensive player. Obviously, he has the greatest catch from the last tournament. He has 2 great catches in this game.
Yep. He's got the stroke we all love.
Oh, the what?
The stroke.
Unbelievable. That's unbelievable. But then it's like, okay, Hookline's bats, I think at this point, are more woken up than Woogas are. Like, obviously, we all knew Jimmy was going to start going for it, right? But we've seen Luke in Captain's League, who is supposed to be the 1 or 2 hitter on this team.
Yeah.
Definitely the only one with experience, with like major experience. I know Dan was in Captain's League as well, but Luke has been in Captain's League and in the last ball and play tournament.
Right. And Dan, I don't think like when he was playing, I'm sure he wasn't like one of the starting 2 strikers either, so he probably didn't get that many at bats.
Well, not only that, like Luke has been recently very susceptible to being run out or getting wickets against himself. So he's not able to like
Finish,
fully show
an inning,
yeah.
usually on strike.
And that's exactly what happens here. I mean, we'll talk about it in the bottom of the second, but it puts a huge damper on the Woogas' ability to come back in this game. But before that, we have to talk about the top of the second, where Jolly comes back up, and I want to say, what of the 18 balls faced, Jolly had 16 of them. That can't be right.
It looks.
Oh no, yeah. See, I'm highlighting JA's as well.
Yep.
He had 10 of the 18.
Of the 18, he had all 18. Interesting.
of the 18, he had all 18, but I'm pretty sure that this says BBD.
The fact of the matter is, though, that he did last the entire inning, which I feel like doesn't always happen. So that's what a lot of teams want to do, is at least get through all 18 pitches.
Right.
So if you do that, you're going to put up a decent amount of runs just because you didn't get wicketed out and you are allowed to face all the balls possible.
You are correct.
But he's got the stroke. I mean, it's like night and day. What we were saying before, how Jay gave the tip to his team to like, let's see if this works. Immediately works really, really well.
Immediately.
Night and day.
Immediately works.
This might be the most runs scored in an inning so far. This is 57 runs. Is that the most?
Oh, in a full inning?
Yeah.
Let me check.
So I think 55 was the previous high score.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're right. But like you start to see it where once the tipping by Sanjay really is what sets it all off. Because they get the information about the tip, and you see Sanjay again hunting for the magic circle or the magic hole. I messed it up. He gives up 19 runs at this point. He gives up 19 runs in the over. Oh, interesting. You know what? That number I gave about Sanjay before, it was 4.26 going into that first over I said 4.85 because that's what it was after the end of this game. He gives up 19 runs, which again is over average.
Right.
Then he gave up a no ball, which gets him out of it. And you heard of sigh of relief from the Hookline side. We're like, thank God we don't have to fucking
Except for
face
Jolly
this
too. He was
guy
like,
again.
I'm almost sad he's leaving because I've started to see him better. And I'm
To
sure that
figure
might
him
have been the
out.
case with other people, but I guess Jolly had the most at bats. So having someone else
Right.
come in against him, they would have been like, all right, I need some time to figure him out as well. I
Right.
think that's once they figured out when the curveball is coming, especially they're able to see that pretty well. But I would imagine that his other like his more like change up grip type pitch that moved
Right.
in on a righty was probably more difficult to see because that was a more like unintuitive pitch to see from a batter or striker's point of view. The curveball, once you know it's there, it's like, oh, this is like Jake's old school like shitty
Yeah.
curveball from Blitzball.
Oh, a 40-mile-an-hour curveball?
yeah,
Thanks.
right.
So Sanjay's out of the game on the bowling side, at least, which is a huge relief off of everybody but Jolly. Jimmy comes in to bowl for the first time ever, and he does a pretty good job. He gets, first one's a 4, but then he gets back-to-back dot balls, then a 6, then another dot, then a 4, and that's like 14 runs allowed. And your
not bad.
first over is
And a
pretty
golden
good.
bowler.
So he comes in, golden bowler, and then this is kind of where it goes to shit, where in this tournament he now holds the dubious title of the second highest amount of runs allowed during and over. The first one being, which one is this? The final over in the Baggage versus Del Caribe, so that's Toby, who threw 1,000,000 wides.
Yeah.
And, this was because of aggressive running from Hookline on wides, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
Jimmy gets a 6 thrown against him. Then Luke should have caught a wicket,
one he
but it
kinda
bounced
slides
out of his
behind,
hands.
yeah.
Then he threw the ball right at Jimmy and nailed
We get one
him.
of those almost every game. Once per game, we get someone throwing a ball as
Yeah.
hard as they can at their player or another player.
Then it's a wide. Then he gets a dot ball, but then he throws 3 straight wides that accounts for 5 runs, and it would have been 6, but Luke threw an incredibly accurate throw to get Jay out on the far
one
side
was
by
cool.
hitting the wickets.
Yeah.
But then BBD hits a 4, then a 1, and then Jolly ends it with a 6, and you end up with 24 runs being scored against you in this over. And it seems like it's not impossible, but with a very new team, like a team like Del Caribe or Baggage or Hookline, I could see coming back and getting the, 63 runs that they'd need to tie it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
64 to win it. Like, we've seen 64s before. This is not impossible,
Right.
but this team is
But difficult
entirely,
for Woogas team that's brand new to this sport.
entirely new.
I want to rewind quick back to that player talking
Wait.
about with Luke throwing the ball to the further set of wickets by the back wall. Someone said it in this game, but I wonder if we're going to start to see more wicket keepers throw deep on a wide instead of trying to get to the closer wicket because
Right.
they probably have more. It's a more difficult play, but they have
Yeah.
more time before the runner gets there because usually the runner on strike will wait until the other guy gets closer to them before they leave. So you probably have a better chance time-wise to get that deeper runner. And I don't think it used to be the case that wall would score points if you let it slip to that back wall, right? And that's not the
that's
case
what I was
anymore.
gonna
So
say.
you're safer now.
Safe.
So I want to see more of those because it was fun to see Luke just get up and throw over to second base like a catcher in baseball.
Yeah. And what?
Not sure.
We'll get back to you guys.
Okay.
Bottom of the second happens. BBD comes in to be our favorite bowler. Uh-oh. We can't play favorites, Brendan.
No.
Don't say that.
I don't really like him anyway.
He has a very un-BBD-like inning, which is funny because it's still a very good inning where he bowls 15. He gets 15 runs to score.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He gives up 15 runs, where you see Luke kind of go off a little bit. He gets 2 off of running, then a 6, then another 2 off of running, then a little bit unlucky because he slams one into the ceiling that gets stuck that, might have given them 1 run.
Yeah.
We're not sure. We can't say anything. It also might have been a wicket. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he ends up getting a dot on the redo. and then he ends it with a 4. So it's like, okay, Luke is doing pretty good. Now they
Yeah.
switch sides.
And as it, from maybe the bowling standpoint too, sometimes when you're an accurate bowler, you're going to get touched up a little bit no matter what. Like he's throwing them over the plate because that's what he does, and he doesn't want to throw wides. And good hitters sometimes will hit those because they're in the strike zone.
Right. Then Jimmy gets up, and this is where Jimmy starts to feel it again. And he gets back-to-back sixes because he's finally getting into his home run stroke, and it's, Jimmy's going to be a terror now that he's figured it out.
It's a game of streaks too. Once you find that stroke, sometimes you can't stop swinging for 4s and 6s.
Right. In this game, we know it wasn't enough, but then Jimmy hits one right back at Jay as Luke starts running before Jimmy hits it. Jay catches it, just turns around, boom, Luke's out.
High IQ play.
That's what happens when you try to be aggressive because you have to be. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
64 is an incredible number to come back to. You need to be aggressive. I don't fault Luke at all for this, but he was trying to gain an advantage, and it came back and bit him. It happens, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's like a bad running play. He was like going for something that he was strategizing to like make sure he got to the other side on a wide ball or anything like that, and he couldn't get back in time because Jay was ready.
Right. Now, the one thing that I'm interested in now is why they chose Dan Rourke to come in instead of Sanjay, because Dan Rourke has the power. I get it. But Sanjay does not have the experience in the warehouse.
You want to get him at bats.
It's round robin play, so you're going to play another game at least. Mm-hmm. You're going to make the playoffs. I feel like you should have gotten Sanjay in there to, get some at bats, see how the ball moves, see how you should be hitting the ball. But it's fine. Dan ends up getting 9 runs off of 2 4s and a wide. Going into the final over, chasing 27, which, as we talked about already, is not crazy because the highest amount of runs is 26. I'm fairly certain that we've seen higher in the past. Mm-hmm. Let's check ball and play stats. But it's not impossible. What makes it kind of impossible is the fact that, we've seen 33 runs in and over in the past, and we've seen 28,
Yep.
All of this is possible. But what makes it impossible is the fact that BBD comes in for his golden bowler inning.
And doesn't throw wides.
Does not throw wides. He
I think that over too. As long as he didn't throw a wide, I think it was mathematically impossible for them to come back or something like that.
Is that right? What's 6 times 6? That's not right. They needed 27. It was after he got the 2 dot balls.
Maybe somewhere in that. Yeah, somewhere in that inning.
It was after he got the 2 dot balls. Then it was like
Right.
just throw it down the middle.
Yeah.
Jimmy gets. This is where Jimmy starts to run up his numbers, and it really just becomes batting practice for him, which is interesting because you don't want that for later on in the tournament, but at the same time, it's do what you can to win this game. I get it.
Yeah.
Jimmy gets 14 runs by himself off of 3 balls, which is insane.
It's important because you want that guy to get going because he's got the most potential on this team for new players, and if you just throw him into the mix later on and he hasn't found a stroke yet, we've seen even Lou struggle sometimes too. So you want your higher end guys to, of course, find their stroke. But I like your thought process from earlier is they maybe should have gotten Sanjay some more run here. Maybe like I would have maybe started Jimmy and Sanjay both innings and let that run.
Well, you can't really choose who to start.
I mean, initially. Maybe the first inning.
In the first inning, period?
Inning.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I could see that. But you also want Luke to get it like in the swing of things, too.
He plays so much, though. I think he's the last person I'm worried about.
It is. I want to see how they're going to adjust for the next game and see if they like start off like kind of toying with, okay, we'll have like Luke and Jimmy are our big guys, so let's split them up instead of having them there for the same
at least that
over.
Much. Absolutely.
I'm interested to see how that's going to work out. But for now, Hookline did a great job in their first game since the championship. Jolly has only gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Drew is still being good on defense. He needs to figure it out again at the plate. He only got the one opportunity, but he didn't
Yeah, you
seem
get one ball
super
faced.
comfortable there.
Yeah.
Yeah. BBD seems comfortable. Got one boundary off of 3 balls faced, which is great for him. Jay seems to be fine, back in the swing of things. And Jolly just, putting up massive amounts of numbers. He's doing really good.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy
this
how few
team is
balls
gonna be
faced for
fun.
everybody just because of how many wickets were in that first inning.
Yeah, it is. Only 2 guys with over 10, which
Yeah.
is kind of nuts. Which is, I guess, the norm, but it's usually spread out a lot more.
Right.
But with that, good job, Hookline.
Good job.
Awesome title defense.
Yeah. I mean, having a guy like Drew that hasn't really hit yet, that's your 4th guy. This is a powerful quad.
Powerful quads.
Just like Nicky's. We'll be talking about a little bit later.
Player of the game.
Player of the game.
Awesome. I'm not the only one who messed up today. That's fine. That's good. We did it.
The podcast listeners won't know. The video people will hear. That's how editing works.
That's how Italy works.
That's how Italy works. Mamma mia. My player of the game goes to some guy, some freakazoid we've been talking about all game long. It's BBD. It's Big Bowler David.
BBD.
BBD. No, the song comes later.
It comes later.
I mean, it was a great game all around, but I think it mostly comes from this first inning especially. We talked about it at the beginning of the episode. Hookline is kept to 15 runs. Then BBD comes in and is like, you know what? I could throw fucking wickets too. You're not the only one, Sanjay.
I could throw some wickets.
And he keeps them to not like he literally saves the game. In this, it doesn't happen that often where you can point to the first inning and be like, that's the reason why they won. But this first inning, holding them to 9 and almost completely washing the first inning score in total, and getting a restart for a 1-inning game. That was it. And then later on too, he gets to close out the game. He's a rock. He's a rock for this team. He doesn't throw wides. That's really important. Sometimes you're gonna get touched up a little bit, but when you need someone to just get in there and throw pitches and keep it close, he'll be there for you.
He's the rock.
He's the rock. He looks like the rock.
If you smell what BBD is cooking. Yeah. BBD was incredible during this game, even contributing offensively with the 5 runs that he did. Like, I know it feel like much when you say
swing the
that.
stick a little
5
bit.
runs. 5 runs off 3 balls, not that bad.
It's something. It's more than 3 runs on 3 balls.
That's true. Ooh, that's true. Put that in the book.
Oh, good
Oh,
catch,
shit, Brendan. That was pretty good. Wow. I didn't know we had a stats guy over here. I dabbled.
I said 5 and I said
dabble
3.
in
It's 2
stats.
numbers.
Those are 2 numbers. Nobody else knows that. You need an advanced degree. Something in like computer engineering, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Obviously not what Brendan has as degree in. It's English literature.
As you can tell by how goodly I speak.
As goodly he speaks and how well read he is. BBD was all of his value comes from bowling. Not all of it, but like I'd say
that's
90%.
what he's there for. Everyone's got their
He's
role
there
on the
for
team,
the
and that's his
bowling.
role.
BBD is classically always a great bowler. We've asked him why he thinks that is. Go listen to our interview with him. But especially now that the magic hole is bigger, what would you call it? Like where you can hit a dot ball bigger. He could do more. When Jimmy did that thing where he tried to fuck around a bit, where jumping to the other side of the plate, which we've seen before, and we've seen that it has impacted people's psyche before. It did not impact BBD. He said, "Whatever, I'll just dot you, idiot. You're not going to swing lefty." BBD was the difference maker in this game. BBD.
I want to see him throw it in someone's mouth and it gets stuck there like Will Sasso.
I want to see him William Tell somebody with ball and play ball.
With a real arrow.
But he throws it.
He throws the arrow as hard as he can.
Javelin.
Then Nails Joe's in the same eye
All right.
already.
Next.
Next.
Dalton, step in. Play of the game.
Play the game.
It is play of the game for the real this time. For the real. Oh.
For the real ones.
For the real ones. As Brendan said, the podcast listeners won't know what I'm talking about. But for the real, this is the play of the game. And it is BBD again, I think. Getting the magic hole to send Hookline into the second inning winning. After such a debilitating first inning. That's not the word I wanted to use, but it also fits.
Nice.
You know, where they show resiliency. Oh, shit. It's back. Haven't talked about it in a while.
Haven't talked about it. Haven't had any resilient players.
No resilient players. But
bunch of pansies.
After having such a bad first inning, 15 runs, we saw, you know, it's even less than what we said killed Baggage with the 17 runs against Del Caribe. BBD was able to salvage it by stepping up in there, getting 8 runs in the first over, and then only allowing 2 balls before getting the third wicket to send them winning into the second inning, 15-9. This magic hole from BBD to get Dan Rourke and send them out there was the biggest play of the game, and it led to Hookline winning the whole thing.
Yeah, and I messaged this again in our group chat that this was a huge moment in my household too. I think that's how I would kind of measure the plays of the game is how loud the Rebel household gets. Being me and Nicole, I guess. My dad probably heard on the other side of the house. Whenever we scream, he screams back. He just loves the call response.
He walked into your living room and was like, "Hey, Brenda."
Holy shit. Nice pitch, BBD. It's crazy. Like we've been saying it all episode long, but that first inning was so exciting. So like, what is going on? I love the innings that are just like, this is crazy. And then to match that inning with a crazier inning, and to end it like that with a big BBD roar, we love the roars. We got one. We got a couple of them, honestly, and it just felt.
We did get a couple of them.
It felt like an exciting playoff game that whole first inning. So
I know I was excited. It felt like an exciting playoff game the whole game.
Yeah.
Like even towards the end, like Woogas weren't out of it until their second dot ball in that final frame.
Yeah.
Whatever. I
Good shit.
care.
Whatever.
Don't care. Don't care. I don't even care about it.
It's time.
BBD Memorial Defensive Player of the Game.
Just gotta find the button real quick.
Again with this fucking shtick.
BBD, 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 BBD. Defensive player of the game, Jolly Olive. Oh yeah, shit.
And it's also my turn to announce who the defensive player of the game is, Brendan.
Well, it didn't count because I said it before.
That's true. The defensive player of the game is Jolliver Oliver. Jolly Ollie Oxenfree, if you will. We all know him.
We all know him.
We all love him. He baked my mom a cake last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice guy. Very, very nice guy.
He should have done it this week.
Jolly was in my notes. I take notes throughout to like say who the potential defensive player of the game is because we don't keep stats on it really. We should. We talked about it. We should, but we don't.
Nah.
I wrote after the first over of Hookline's defensive half. He blocked a ball that was bound for the wall for a boundary, a 4-point boundary, made a dot ball there, as well as catching 2 wickets of his own and leading the way and clawing the momentum back for Hookline.
Yeah.
Absolutely necessary for Jolly to do that. Jolly was what a captain needs to be. And I think it's fair to say Jolly is the captain for Hookline this time around. He knows the game really well. He positions himself really well. And he was able to lead the way for this team on the defensive side and the offensive side.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too about the positioning. He positions himself really well. And I think also, like you're saying, being the coach, knows where to put his players as well. So he spreads himself even more wide then it just himself. He's like, well, I'm going to play here. You guys also do this stuff that I'm saying. So your good plays relate back to me as well because I put you there.
I'm the best.
I'm the
I'm
best.
the video game.
It's funny in the post game. They kind of get a little bit from each player, and they got some from Drew, and they're like, blah, blah, blah. I forget what the question was, but he's like, we don't really have a plan going into this. We just kind of go in there and play. I can see Jolly being like, we definitely have a plan. I tell you what to do. But it was just funny that, like, that's true. He just goes out there and plays.
True, Drew.
But, no, Jolly is a very short-handed fielder out there. You feel like short-handed fielder. He's got small fingers.
This is how big. Jolly's hand is just that big.
Just 5 nubs.
5 nubs. Oh no!
But when it comes to him, he's going to catch it. He's going to at least block the ball. He knows he doesn't have to make like a cleanly fielded ground ball play every time. He just got to knock it down. He's good at that.
He's going to catch one during this tournament. Prediction: he's going to catch one during this tournament in his mouth like a pig being roasted.
Or like Will Sasso.
Oh. Go watch Vine, kids.
Go watch Vine.
Yeah, great game from Hookline. Can't wait to see what they do next. Can't wait to see how Woogas adjusts. Now we're going to go into our what to watch for Love Yas versus We Got Ice.
Wow.
You want to take the lead here, Brendy?
This is our what to watch for. What to watch for. This is an obvious one, but I'm excited to watch for Peter Moreland. I want to see what the hell he does out there. I want to see how they use him. Obviously, they have to use him as a bowler in some capacity. More insights of something that you didn't see and I did because I'm a good boy. He talks about in the post game and I guess pre-game at that respect of it. It was pre-game. Such a fucking idiot. You know what, Peter? You're better than me.
Better.
He talks about how he's not looking forward to this game at all because he hasn't done anything athletic in like 5 years, and he talks so much shit in the booth that now him having to play is really unfortunate because he's gonna suck and he's gonna get shit talked back to him. He doesn't want that, so I'm excited to see that because it's a very funny headspace to be going into a game. No matter what, it'll be entertaining. It'll be a great story if he's amazing, and if he's not, it's also just entertaining and funny that he's gonna own up to it regardless. So I want to see what kind of bravado he brings to the game. If he's going to play cocky, if he's going to be like, just like silly and like, yeah, I don't know about this. So I mostly want to see how he does. I have faith that he'll be all right bowling, but I don't know what to expect at all with the stick. I expect him to be bad.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I would love to see Peter Moreland do great because Peter Moreland is great. Mm-hmm. But I was going to talk about Nikki, but I think I want to talk about We Got Ice because I want to give 1-to-1. I want to see, we saw famously, We Got Ice really put it together in the second half of Ball and Play last time, where they, without that one pitch by Joe's, where it just bounced off the top of the zone, I think that they probably would have lost that game, not gone to the final. We Got Ice really put it together at the end. Mm-hmm. Now, essentially completely different team. Only Jack and Zoe are returning.
Yeah.
And I want to see if they're going to have those same learning struggles of how to play as a team, or if Zoe and Jack are going to bring in their experience from last time and kind of help Dan and Muhammad out to acclimate better and really get off to a stronger start. Maybe rectify those wrongs from the last tournament, make it to the final this time.
And not have to have a few game learning curve and just be where they want to be much earlier in the tournament.
Yep.
Yeah. One more thing I want to say, too, as you're talking about that. I famously don't listen to you, and I think about what I want to say next. Levias has another player I'm interested in being Nikki Cass.
All right, that's enough. Nope, no more.
I mentioned the quads earlier. I don't know if you remember that. He doesn't know how to play this game, so I want to see if he learned the rules, because that's important. I want to see if he can run the right way, and his back can be a big deal. If he learns how to not pop it up, he can be a potentially great hitter.
That's really, I'm happy you brought this up because that was what my mind was going to be before I was like, talk about We Got Ice too. Pretty famously, if you watched the training videos, Nikki still was having trouble grasping an understanding of this game. So it's like, but
Yeah.
you played a whole tournament already.
We see in floorball too. Like I think his mindset for sports that he's not familiar with is like, if I just try really hard, it'll all come together, and that's not
Yeah.
necessarily the case with either one of the sports. That's why Lovey's is
Well,
bad at both sports.
well, it could be the case.
Could be the case.
Could be the case.
So
Could
let's
be
find
the
out.
cakes. Let's find out. Nikki, prove us wrong. This is a little bit of fuel for Nikki Cass, so that
Yeah.
he could listen to this and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go, and when I go to the warehouse tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm gonna beat the fucking shit out of the We Got Icers
And those Blitzball boys too.
and those Blitzball boys. I'm gonna find them first. I'm gonna go to Long Island, then back to New Jersey to beat the fuck out of those
fucking
two.
shit. I'll go to Jersey so you can just beat us up in one trip. You don't need
Yeah.
to do too much driving.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thanks,
But
Nikki.
we're both going to be hiding in trees, so we're going to make it a little hard for
different
you
trees.
to find us. Yeah, 2 different trees. Definitely not the same tree.
Yeah. We both have dart guns.
We're both going to have dart guns filled with very deadly poison. So
Come at us, bro.
Good luck, Nikki. We just have to make it a fair fight. We're going to be in different trees. So that don't you worry. The podcast listeners aren't going to see that joke. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Go watch our YouTube.
Go watch it.
But Brendan,
We shut our
what should
asses.
people be drinking?
Drink Subtle Tea is a drink made by me. You can find it on thesubtletea.com. Use code HappyBoys for $2 off your order. The Happy Boys is my other podcast. We talk about beer and make
Podcast.
comedy jokes. So go enjoy those, all 3 of those jokes over on the Happy Boys, wherever you find your podcasts. You can also listen to the Lonely Boys, where we cover all things Gossip Girl. We're in our final season, so go check that out. Also, wherever you get your podcasts. And this very show, as we just mentioned, is visible on YouTube. Type in Blitzball Boys, and you'll find all of our warehouse coverage all the time and our Blitzball coverage as well. Blitzball Boys, please subscribe. Please. Subscribe.
Please.
Please subscribe.
Please. I will plug, as always, my brother, Matthew Del Rey. He's a good boy. I love him very much. 8th most attractive man on Nick's Twitter. Go follow him. Give him a like. Bronco Gonziano. They're making a run for the championship, and he's a happy guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very attractive. If you see him in public, give him a hug and a kiss. God knows he needs it. Play Sea of Stars. Beyond that, Brendan, ask me the question.
Got anything else you want to talk about?
Nope.
Bye-bye.
Bye.